Hi and welcome to a very, very special edition of the YouTube show. I know you've been waiting for this one for a while. We've been busy. Callum, as you know, he's been doing his schoolwork and he's the one with all the editing skills. But right now we have a great special. What better time to do it than New Year? We're bringing in 2025 with a wonderful episode and a very, very special guest. No spoilers. Here it is. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to what is a very special episode of the YouTube show. Now, normally we speak to fans who love the show, but very occasionally we find a fan who's been in the show, and that's what we've got today. We have got the lovely, wonderful Katy Manning with us. Hello, Katy. How are you?
Hello. Thank you very much.
It's such a pleasure to have you on, and like I say, you are a special because you've been in the show. For those who don't remember or who haven't seen all the classic episodes, you played Jo Grant, who was a companion of the wonderful Jon Pertwee.
We did the Three Doctors, and then I went on to the Sarah Jane Adventures, and then Power of the Doctor, and then Inside the TARDIS. So I've been around it a long time, and a huge amount of audio, not just as Jo Jones and Jo Grant, but Aris Wildtime. I've played Ice Warrior Queens. So yes, I'm very involved in Doctor Who in lots of different levels. I've even played a giant cockroach in Torchwood on audio.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
I don't know any of that. That's fine.
Yes, well, you're far you're far more than a cockroach. That's
oh, but those are the best parts, darling. You know, I mean, I love multi-voicing. I even wrote my own play, which I did in America, where I played 26 characters. I also did a play, Me and Jezebel, where I played 9 characters. I love doing lots and lots of voices, which is why Jon Pertwee and I got on so terribly well, because we used to do voices together.
Of course,
driving places, and we'd look at the names of these, you know, wonderful, strange little towns around the UK, and we'd turn them into characters.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, did you have any trouble when you went to Wales? I mean, the Welsh words are a bit.
I hate to say it, but I'm very, very strongly half Welsh. My mother comes from a family of 10. Dairy farmers in Wales. My cousin played rugby for Wales. My other cousin's a very famous Welsh artist. My mother was Amy Sylvia Jenkins, and I have to tell you, I know all about Durans and I know everything about Wales. So there was nothing wrong with me there.
No, that's brilliant. Well, so you managed to get your tongue round the double L words all the time and things like that.
As a little tiny girl, I even kept my horse in Wales. So.
Oh. What was your horse called?
You're going to love this. Nobby.
Nobby?
My horse was called Nobby.
Are you a Slade fan?
Not now, but I guess, you know, back in the day, all of them were wonderful, you know, but I don't hang on to much of the past. I'm very much let's keep going in the now.
Absolutely. Well, what I'm going to ask you now is what I do with every guest, and I start with an icebreaker, and I ask for your favourite. Well, and what we've already done, it's we've already broken the ice, but
we're going to have a chat.
Yeah, we're going to have a chat. I'd like to tell you, so you're not just an actor from Doctor Who, you're a fan of it as well.
I have to explain this because, you know, fans, as I know and love, as you well know, this is the best thing. that Doctor Who could possibly have given me. I'm not a fan who, I don't want to know anything about the story before it comes on. I don't watch anything twice. That's kind of almost, I think there's about 3 things I can think of in my life that I've seen more than twice, and they weren't actually Doctor Who. I also have to remind people that a lot of everybody that's ever been in Doctor Who is a fan of the programme. This is not usual. However, I didn't grow up as a child with Doctor Who. I was already like 16 years old, and trust me, that wasn't what I was going to do every Saturday night. No. Plus, my mother was, oddly enough, if you look, the very first Doctor Who that went out, if you look at the old Radio Times, as it was, TV, my father was on the radio at exactly the same time as I was on the TV. But I grew up in a totally different era, if you know what I mean. At 16, you're not going to be sitting at home on a Saturday night. And then I unfortunately had a very serious car crash, which we don't have to get into, but that was 2 years completely out of my life where I wasn't watching television. I was in hospital and I was being remade into what you see now. They got wrong there, didn't they?
They did a good job. That's all.
So I didn't have that wonderful experience of being the child, you know, this is why I adore listening to the stories of the fans, because I hear how people were inspired by it, and how, you know, they've also been basically got through some of the most difficult times through it. And you listen to the stories going right through to people, you know, into your Russell T Davises, into your, you know, Mark Gatiss, and all these people that have been huge fans of the shows, Peter Capaldi, you know, so many that I meet were huge fans of the show. Now, consequently, being the old person, so and then I went and I had children, and I was in the West End for many years, and then I went to Australia, and I was living in Australia, and you didn't have Doctor Who every Saturday like you did here, and then I was living in America, same thing. Anyway, so the long and the short of the talk of all of that is when it first started again. Thank you, dearest, wonderful, amazing Russell T Davies, perfect person to start it again, with Eccleston and wonderful, I'm going to go blank in the morning now. Oh, I love her so much. What's her name?
Piper.
N.B Piper. How can I forget her wonderful name? Brilliant actress too. I've seen her now in quite a few theatre productions. Wonderful, wonderful. Anyway, and I thought Christopher Eccleston too. I was, you know, massive fan of his. Well, the moment those two came out of the TARDIS on the very first episode, I just cheered and I thought, we're safe and it's back. And it's the break that it needed. And so since that day, I have discovered Doctor Who.
Well, you know what? That is what I felt like on that first day when it came back. It was just like, oh my word, it's back, and my program is back, because it's the only program that I religiously watch. I love it so much. There isn't anything else like it for me, and it's very special. You said something very important, and I'd like to just go back a couple of sentences, if I may. You mentioned about what it means to people, and how it takes people or gets people through very difficult times in their lives. I've heard it so many times doing this show, because it is only fans I speak to. We don't dissect the episodes and all that. We're not into that. I just want to find out what it means to people, what Doctor Who means. And
well, that's exactly, I mean, what you're saying is exactly what I do. With the fans, hugging them, holding them close to me, helping them through still some very difficult times. Also encouraging, because my fan group now goes from, you know, babies are being born during my run in this show. You know, we have to bear in mind in October, I turned 78. And I've got little baby. I'm holding babies. I've got little, I've been to, I went to, what do you call it? Escape room with one little girl who I adore, the little girl who, and the tiny Time Lord. And we went to the escape room because for her birthday, that's what she wanted. Only she wanted Joe to be there. So we all went there, and then I took him out for tea. And then I've been to see his productions at school. So I've got babies, then I've got them growing to teens, and I've got a huge teenage following. Then it goes into the next level, and then the very old people like me.
Not very old. Not very old.
Yeah, you know what? We must learn that age is actually something that should not be, it's actually quite wonderful.
Yes.
Because all the things that you get with age that you can't possibly know when you were young, but if you did, you would have been I would have been a much better teenager if I knew what I knew now. But, all in all, it is the fans, because we have to remember that, as an actor, I'm looking at a show that is so popular. I mean, I've watched it go from the very early days. Yeah. When we first went over and we got this cult following that went into John's era and my era, when it was, all sorts of new things were introduced, because Doctor Who has to keep growing up. It can't stay the same. It really can't. As long as you've got the TARDIS and the Doctor and a possible companion, everything else can change.
Yeah.
I don't care whether the Doctor is male, female. It's about the actor. It's about the two hearts. It's about being in the TARDIS. It's about the magic of being able to transport people off into this incredible world of adventure and know that you're always going to be safe. And without the fans, it wouldn't matter how brilliant the show was. It wouldn't be what it is now. And when you think that we get Russian fans, we get South American fans, French fans. It's an incredible thing, and I often sit there at a huge convention, and I think, wouldn't it be marvelous if the world was like a great big Doctor Who convention where everybody's comfortable to be who they are? It's given safe space to so many people. And so this is why I'm talking to you about the fans and about being a fan, but I'm a different kind of fan. It's a show I love, but I also love a lot of other TV shows. But Doctor Who has this very special place in my heart. And you don't always have to love every single episode and go, but you also don't need to complain about it. What you need to do is to watch it, let it happen, and whether it's the greatest or not the greatest episode that you've seen this year or whatever it is, the program is still remarkable. It still gives something to everybody.
Yes.
And the casting of it is magnificent. Each time I see it. So we're so lucky.
We are lucky, and this is there's a lot of podcasts and shows on YouTube, and they so annoy me with them over analyzing everything, and everything must mean something and must be canon, but like you say, what you need to do with Doctor Who is just relax. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
I was going to say, what we have to remember, like you see, is anything that you don't. That's why if you look at my social media, the one thing I'm not prepared to talk about is my opinions, because they're not facts. Therefore, they're just, opinions. And I'm entitled to have my feelings and my thoughts. My opinions, thank goodness, are constantly changing because I'm always learning. Yeah. But I think that what we need to do with that and Doctor Who, and if you don't like it, okay, you can switch off. Yes. I like to keep everything so that people are involved in being cared about, listening to their little stories, but not having ridiculous arguments about politics.
Yes.
Which up going nowhere. You disappear up your own bottom because there is no outcome. Whoever you vote for is going to lie anyway. So let's get on.
Absolutely right, Katie. It's nuts. Just just press that red button on your remote control if you don't like it. I mean, you don't have to play about it.
If I'm not really enjoying it, but I haven't done this with Doctor Who. I haven't done this yet. I promise you I haven't. But if I'm watching, I'm always doing something when I watch television. So if something's really good, I always talk about, like, my cup of tea gets cold, and the things that I'm creating. My granddaughter and I are going to, in Sydney, we're going to be doing a charity store, so of our arts and crafts. So I'm busy making things at the moment, and if I'm watching something, that not really enjoy it, I'll go back to making something, but I've still got it there.
Yes.
If I want to do it, But Doctor Who, no, I can't remember the last time I didn't have a cold cup of tea.
Well,
that's what Doctor Who to me, a cold cup of tea. And even when it's not really maybe my favorite, I still love it.
Yeah, it's magic.
We don't have to pick it apart, as you say. It's not.
No.
I can't say, I'm not very clever. I can't do all these clever things that people. I think I didn't even notice that, because it's all there. Wonderful.
That's it. I mean, it has helped a lot of people through mental health problems.
Huge amount, and other difficulties in life of not understanding how to belong, what they, whether you're, for people who are gay or for trans or for things like that. When I do conventions, I've got my arms around all these people who are dealing with some very difficult, because when you're young, those things are very difficult to deal with.
Yes, they are.
And don't have a parental support while you're dealing. It can be a very confusing time.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
I'll just take you back to the beginning of this, or not the beginning. You spoke about it doesn't matter who the actor is, whether they're male, female, doesn't matter. There's still the Doctor, and there's still that magical person that when they open the TARDIS doors, you go in with the companion. So it wasn't just you going in with John Pertwee; it was every single person watching the show.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody has a different Doctor that they absolutely love, and and it's usually I think the first one I ever saw. I did see William Hartnell when I was, that's when I thought, wow, this is a really cool, groovy show back then. And obviously I've caught up so that I can look at all the wonderful actors who are now my friends from it, so that I can see what they did, and so on. But as I say, it's all about having I think the one thing that is important is that the companion, for one, I don't know there's probably a new word now, a modern word that I don't know.
No.
Anyway, the companion and the Doctor have a warmth and a rapport, so that if you're putting yourself into being identifying with the companion, you have that relationship that you are subliminally sensing as an audience from them. And that's something that, I know that John and I had in bucket loads, because we just clicked, and
can I ask?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask you a question that I've been wanting to know, and it's about feelings. So when you first got the call back in this new era since 2005, when you first got the call to come back into the Doctor Who universe, or if you like, how did that feel to you? I mean, because it had been a while, because it had been off air. How did it feel?
Well, it's hard to say, really, because I never expected to come back in the Sarah Jane Adventures. That was a shock.
You got.
Now a lot of people are seeing people coming back, so they keep saying, "Oh, are you coming back in this? Are you coming?" Sometimes, I just let life happen. And when I thought, oh, how lovely, how gorgeous. I'm going to see Sophie, and because I'm very good friends with all of Janet, and I've worked on audio You know, I did the unit ones with Kate Leathery, so I've already kind of met all these people. William Russell, I had met at conventions and we got on really, really well. So it was kind of very exciting, and I knew that it was just going to be a lovely, tiny little moment. And I get to meet some of the new people like Bradley Walsh, because I love that show. I love the chase. And, you know, I kind of turned up, and for a moment, I became Jo Jones.
Yes.
And I was as thrilled as Jo Jones as I am as Katy Manning. So I've been there in that glorious moment. But I don't sort of sit around thinking, oh, are they going to invite me? At my age, darling, I'll be coming back on my walking frame.
Well, you know, Will, we had the one, Wilf came back, didn't he? His character in a wheelchair in the special, yeah. So,
but, you know, I mean, I'm kind of joking here. To be honest with you, I have loved each time going back. You know, I mean, I was the first really to return via the Main Adventures, and so it gave Jo a whole second life. And as I said to Janet and Sophie, I said, now you've done that, you'll have a whole second life, trust me, as the older, you know, characters. But I don't think about that side of it anymore. You know, that is a blessing. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, one's carrying on with one's life. But nothing will stop me from enjoying watching the show.
Well, the impact that you've had, you know, you talked about young babies and people of different ages. Well, my son, who edits this show, Callum, he when I told him I was having you on, he was like, wow, brilliant. Yeah, he was so happy. And he's only been a Doctor Who fan for about a year. And he recognized your name straight away and was so happy. It was so, and he's 14 years old. He doesn't remember
well, exactly, but as I say, I've got a huge amount of teenagers as a following as well. I think Granny Jo is kind of the groovy granny. You know, I mean, when we did the Sarah Jane Adventures, you know, they used to call me Granny Groove. You know, I think it was just that's kind of groovy granny that's, you know, traveled in the universe that a lot of people would kind of like to have. Indeed, my granddaughter has, you know, doesn't know anything about Doctor Who, but she has got plastic figurines, and she does, and saying, "This is my grandma," and people go, "Huh?" And so on. She's not, you know, my children don't know much about Doctor Who either, so they just go. My daughter says, "Oh, Mom, there's another person who found out that you were my mother," because when they were at school, they used to get really embarrassed when the teachers would say, "Oh, I love your mom." Well, don't say that to teenagers. You know, very sweet and very supportive, but they're not Doctor Who watchers.
No, but I mean, everybody each their own.
Me in it either. They've not seen any of it.
Oh,
no. We're a Doctor Who free zone except for Grandma.
Except for Grandma. So okay, let's look at you now as a person. So, what does Doctor Who mean to you now?
Just a wonderful program that I watch, and this. Once again, I mean, I know I say this a lot, and they've done articles about it, but it is the reason I do conventions. The reason I do conventions is because it's the one way I can truly say thank you to the fans, and I can actually hug them. This means so much to me, you know, because I think in this world where we're surrounded, where if you allow yourself to watch the news all the time and read things on the internet all the time, you will go completely mad and get depressed because you're opinions, you're reading things that aren't facts, you're taking them as facts because they're delivered as facts. We have a history that goes back as far as mankind of war and violence. All that's changed is the weapons and the way of doing it, and we're now using the internet to do it, etc., to create terrible things around us. And I think for me, it's that you're aware of what's happening, but we can't change it, because if we haven't changed it in thousands of years, how are we going to change? We've changed lots of little things along the way that have made things better, but we haven't changed the way we live on this beautiful planet, and the way that we even abuse the planet and each other too often. And I think for me, it's a wonderful way of getting out. That's why I like traveling by public transport. So you get to talk to people, you get to have little moments with somebody you may never see again. And for me, going to those conventions is this one moment where I can actually put my arms around people, listen to their stories. And I know it might sound a bit big-headed, but I have helped a lot of people through some really, really difficult times. And they thank me regularly. And I think that hug is such an important human need. And we need to give each other more of that love.
Absolutely. And
Every
the one thing I've noticed through following you for 10 years or more on social media is that you are such a loving person. And this is not to do with Doctor Who. It's not to do with anything you've ever acted in. This is you as a lady on you, Katy Manning. You are you're a loving person naturally. It doesn't matter what you've done. You just that.
You know, we have this ability to love. You know, it's like when people say to me, "Oh, how can you say you love someone you've only just met?" I said, "Well, how come so many people can say they hate someone they've never even met?"
Yeah.
And then why can't I use the positive? And I do feel love for these people. I truly, truly do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do what I do.
No.
I would sign my name, be funny, and go home.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's I think if everybody was like you, we wouldn't have these problems in the world. It just wouldn't exist. And I'm the same as you. Why I've got it tattooed on my arm, the word love. It's there because
I get it in my brain.
yes.
You are a truly sweet, gentle human being. And I know I don't do many interviews, and I have my reasons for that.
Yeah.
But every now and again, somebody will ask me to do something. And I think, yes, I want to do that for you. And you were a person that I went, yeah, I'm feeling it.
Oh,
so
thank you.
To say thank you and to give your son a huge hug from me.
Oh, thank you. He'll love that.
An obligatory Granny Joe hug. I mean, even when they do the little shorts on the box sets, you know, Joe's trying to save the sea devils from extinction. I think it's really weird that somehow Joe, who's this sort of loving creature, seems to now get a little bit merged up with me as well, you know, because Joe is very, very, and always was very much that kind of compassionate, caring, you know. Anyway, so thank you so much for this morning. I'm going to have to press on because after a while my chest gets a little bit tight.
Yeah, you're not being.
No, for me, poorly. You know, if I stay in bed and don't put my lipstick on, darling, you know I'm not well. But I'm like out and about, but I'm having to still take it easy because I'm flying off to Australia any minute now.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know you're short of time, and I want to, you know, I really do appreciate you coming on the show. It's been an honour to privilege to speak with you and learn a bit more about you and learn how you feel about Doctor Who and the fan side of you, not necessarily the actor. So it's been amazing, and yeah, thank you so much. And maybe you'll come back again in the future. Who knows? But
it's lovely that you do a show that actually talks to the fans.
Yeah,
because I think that's a very important thing to be able to do, rather than just doing a YouTube where you want to get as many of the actors as you can for beyond, which is lovely. And I know that it's much appreciated by the fans, but I think the fans need to have their own space to speak as well.
yes.
And maybe if we do something next time, maybe we should do a thing where we have a few fans so we can all interact together.
That sounds like a good plan. I am actually going to get, so season 1 had 10 episodes, which is just finished. And I'm planning on getting all 10 guests back if I can arrange it for one show. So maybe you can do that for a bit.
No, the one thing I learned during lockdown,
Oh,
podcast, you've got 7, even just 6 actors.
Yeah.
One question is asked, and everybody's got. And honestly, I wouldn't live till the end.
Well, no, that's true. But look,
I think the small amount.
Thank you so much. I know you've got to go, so thank you so much for being on. And it's been lovely.
I wish I could give you the biggest cuddle right now to say thank you.
Well, I'm feeling it, regardless. You're not here, but
there.
And I will see you at a convention soon, because I know my son wants to go along. So as soon as a convention comes up and you're in it, we'll be there. So
that would be an absolute delight. It really would.
It will be.
You take care. And anybody who watches this and sees the old bat, just remember, as soon as it's back on again, I'll be on that sofa, because it's the only place I like to watch it from. People say, oh, I don't want to watch it with a group of people.
No, you watch it on the sofa sometimes.
And I sit there, I've got my cup of tea, and because I'm so short-sighted, even though I have to sit really forward.
Yes.
And honestly, I usually don't even kind of close my mouth or breathe properly until the end. So it's a very attractive sight, me watching Doctor Who.
Imagine not. Anyway, listen, thank you so much, Katy, and you have a great day, and be safe on your way to Australia. Enjoy it, and we'll see you again soon.
I will, and I'm going to say hello to some of the Australian fans as well.
Thank you. Blow and kiss.
Yeah.
Adios. Hasn't it? But the last 6 months have been really busy. My scone
one.
Help him. I'm waiting for the 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Well, it's too late now. And he's the one that does all the editing. I know nothing. So here is a very special Christmas edition of the Who Tube Show. Who Tube Show.